One night a robbery went wrong. I ended up taking the life of my best friend. When I took his life, I ended up in jail facing a life sentence. When I was facing that life sentence, it got real. You know what I mean? I was facing that life sentence and I had two lawyers. And I was 18 years old. It was like 2006. And while I'm telling C to hold on, I literally felt him breathe his last breath. When he breathed his last breath, I felt his body go numb in my body. And I felt when the spirit left his body just went numb and he died in my hands. Right? When he died in my hands in my lap, my mind went into shock. I went into complete shock. I didn't even know what to do, what to think, and my whole life started to flash before my eyes. My whole life started to flash before my eyes, you feel me? So during the course of that, when my whole life was flashing before my eyes,
All right, good afternoon. This is State of Florida versus Stephen Testa with multiple cases before the court.
So my name is Akil Phillip, AKA Vision, and I did a 15-year bid. So it was 2006, and I was 18 years old when I actually got locked up. So I grew up around, originally I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and my mother and my father, they separated when I was like about 6 years old. During the time when they separated, my mother ended up moving down to Florida, and my father stayed up in Brooklyn, of Trinidadian, Venezuelan descent. So when we moved down here, we lived in about, I think it was Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie type area. And one night, my mother came in the room, and when she came in the room, she was crying, and she woke us up and she said, "Man, your father has been shot in the back and killed in Brooklyn, New York." So when that happened, I had a lot of hate, I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of revenge in my heart. And that sent me down a path of, as a little kid, I used to fight a lot. Every day going to school, fighting. Anytime somebody say something about my pops, my parents, I would just snap, something would go off on my head, that chip on my shoulder, and I would just fight. So I was always getting suspended from school, even as elementary school, middle school. Then by the time I hit high school, started messing with girls, started gambling, and still had that chip on my shoulder. I was very revengeful. If anybody did anything to me, I always wanted to get back. That was like mandatory. So up until then, I never had a father figure. So hip hop music was my father figure. My brother, he kind of was in the streets a little bit too, not really heavy, but he was like selling drugs, different things like that. And I seen that. So that was my influences. That's what I really had to guide me. And at that time, I didn't know better. You know what I mean? So really, like, that's what I was leaning toward. So by the time I was like 15 and 16, his baby mother used to work in the club. She used to strip. And when she used to strip, she used to get these rooms. And when she used to get these rooms, they have, bottle rooms and all that. And my brother, he had a big bar in his house. So it came to a certain point, he was like, "Yo, you know what? You can start selling these bottles." So while I was in school, about 16 years old, I became the liquor man too. And I started selling bottles of Moet, Alizé, Hypnotic. Then I started selling the bigger bottles too, Level, Southern Comfort, Grey Goose. And I became like the liquor man in school. And I used to see bottles in school and stuff like that, man. Hopefully nobody crashed or drunk drove or whatever, but it was crazy. And I was just looking for a way to come up that time financially, going through the struggles of poverty. Like my mom used to work, and I was probably about the age of 10, she got saved. And when she got saved, she used to always come in the room, praying in tongues, laying hands on me, putting the oil, opening the blinds. "Hey boy, open up the blinds, we want darkness in here, you want darkness." I'm like, "Mom, come on, I ain't trying to hit, I'm trying to cover my ears." She shot the book, she laying hands on me. I'm like, "Yo, every spirit come on you to come up." I'm like, "Yo, what is she doing? She wilding right now," you feel me? But it was helpful. I didn't know she was really putting in work for me. Like she was spiritually warfare for my soul and my destiny. She was calling things into being. And I didn't even really know, like, I was clueless. Like, I knew that God was real. I knew the spiritual realm was real. I knew that God could probably do something in my life. But at that time, I'm young. I just want to live. I'm caught up in sin. I'm loving the pleasure of my sin. So it's like, what she talking about is really irrelevant. And then she started taking me, forcing me to go to church. You never want to go. And during the course of the time, while she forcing me to go to church, it's like I'm going and I'm seeing people being delivered. I'm seeing people being healed. I'm hearing the gospel. I'm seeing people get saved and change their life. And it was crazy because I'm like, hey, I know this is real, but it was a fight within me like, hey, I want this, but I love living in sin too. And I was probably like around the age of like around that same age, 15, 16, when my brother, he had moved out. He was living in like Boca Raton, Florida. Like a nicer area too. Boca Raton, like it's like a nice area. And he was living over there. He had a roommate, whatever. So one night they had a party. They was at a party. Some of his friends got drunk. And when the dude busted a bottle, he was trying to hit my brother with the bottle. My brother had like one of them tools, you feel me? They got the knife, the screwdriver, all at in one. So I guess he used that and he kind of like sliced the dude up. So my brother caught a case. He was locked up in West Palm Beach. So he caught a case in West Palm Beach County. And when he caught that case in West Palm Beach County, he was in there for like 8 months. But during that 8 months, he had come to give his life to God. When he gave his life to God, he did 8 months. He went to trial. He won a trial, got found not guilty, and he got out. When he got out, he was serving God, and I seen that. I'm like, what? He going to church, he clapping, he suited up, and I'm like, yo, is this the same one that used to sell trees? Like, how he suited up now? How he really like, how could that change be? And me and my little brother, we was riding, and we like, yo, what is you doing? You an altar boy now? Like, what's really going on? And now, hindsight, I look back at that, I'm like, dang, yo, we shouldn't have did that. We was being used by the enemy to try to drag him back in the world. So eventually he did kind of like backslide kind of into the world, you know? He not in the streets like as far as serving or nothing like that no more, but he just not fulfilling the purpose of God in his life. But I know God gonna bring restoration even to him, and you know, all the time. But yeah, so that whole portion of my life right there, it came to a point where just what I was doing wasn't enough. When I was stealing and all that, I still wanted more money. Me and my mom started beefing. I cut her off and I moved to an area in Fort Lauderdale called Melrose Park. So Melrose Park, a hood area. I'm living there like 3 months. We doing robberies and all type of stuff, you know what I mean? So during the course of this time, I'm living in Melrose Park, pockets hurting, and we like, yo, we got to get to the money by any means necessary. You know what I mean? And at the time, me and my mom was beefing. I cut off for 3 months, so we not on speaking terms. And what's so crazy, right before that event happened, I was in school. I was in high school. So what happened, I went to a school in Hollywood first called South Broward. When I went there, I stopped caring about school. I was so into the girls and trying to get money that I allowed my grades to go down. And the crazy thing, I was intelligent. When I was going to school before that, A and B honor roll. How I even made it to the school in Hollywood is called South Broward. And it was a magnet program for marine biology. So, you know, I always had a head on my shoulders. Even as my first name is Akil, my mom said naturally like that represent intelligence. So therefore that was a fulfillment in my life. And I knew that, but still at the time, the streets and the flesh and the sin was calling me. And that's what I was, you know, yielding to. So during that particular time, when I was still in school, I think it was a dude, I forgot his name. We used to call him D. But this is right around the time when And1 mixtape coming out, they doing all the handles. I got really into that. Me and my little brother, we were separated for a minute. So when I met up with him, he was like, probably like 13, and I was like 17, you know, so when we linked back up, so that was right around the time, and it's like 2004, 5, 6, right around them times, and one was going crazy with the skills, hot sauce A1, and I started doing the moves, my brother doing the moves, and I found out he was into the ball, and we started balling, and I really should have stuck to that, because I was really good at that, and you know, the streets would just call it. So now, when I met him, but I tell you that because back when I was in school, I had an N1 mixtape DVD, and I let the dude D hold it, right? And when I let him hold it, I had to end up dropping out of school and going to this program called Drop Back In. So when I went to this program, Drop Back In, like I told you, I used to sell the liquor. So I'm in the program doing my work. I made it from the 11th grade to the 12th grade, but I'm selling liquor in there. It's all the worst kids in there that got expelled for having weapons, having drugs, kids that just dropped out, girls that's pregnant. So it's that type of program in it. And I'm in there selling liquor and doing my work at the same time. So it was crazy because you'll see people in there go right outside and fight, and then the principals. And the crazy thing, it was in the back of a church. It was like a computer lab with probably 10 to 15 computers in the back of a church on a corner. And we was in there cussing, people was smoking in there, it was crazy, right in the back, right? But that was the reality at the time. So after that, like I said, I dropped out of school and I gave Dez the M1 mixtape DVD. And when I gave him the DVD, I'm like, yo, all right, he gonna give me back in a week. So when I dropped out of school, I forgot about it for a minute. Then I remember, I called him. I'm like, yo, what's up with the DVD? He like, yo, I gave it back to your homeboy Ab, which is Ab was my man's and all. Haitian homeboy Ab, that was my man's. You feel me? To the day I seen him the other day at the gas station, my man's and him. But when I asked Ab, I called Ab, I said, yo, D gave you that mixtape? He like, nah, he ain't give it to me. So immediately I'm like, oh, he trying to play me? The dude D trying to play me? Like, what he doing? And at this time, like I told you, I already started playing with weapons, guns and stuff. Good thing I had no fire on me that time, but I'm gonna show you how God worked in this situation. Because a lot of times you be about to make the wrong decision and God will intervene even us unknowingly, right? So the dude D used to work at Boston Market. So I called one of my other homeboys, Corey. I'm like, yo, this man play with me. I'm gonna go to Boston Market. I'm gonna stab him up. Because now I feel like, my pride is up and he playing with me. He trying to take my DVD and I let him hold it out of good faith. So I went there. And when I went into Boston Market, I'm kind of talking to him. There's people all in there. And I'm hot, but I'm trying to play it cool. I'm like, yo, I said you didn't get that to him. He like, yeah, I gave it to him, man. Don't worry, I'm at work right now. And I'm looking at him and we catch eyes and he could feel it. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see about that. And I left. So when I left that night, I knew he was already working. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna slide back at night. Mind you, Boston Market closed at like 11. So I'm like, I'm gonna slide back at night. They had a lot of bushes around them. Like, I'm gonna stay in the bush and when they come out, I'm gonna just stab them up. That was my mental at the time, right? So at that point, I end up going back to the crib and I'm gonna show you how God intervened, right? So it was about 8 o'clock. My homeboy, Corey, get on the phone. He work at the Checkers right down the block. He called me like, he like, yo, come through. And he hung up. So I'm like, yo, what he calling me to come through for? So at the time I had brass knuckles in my pocket, I had the knife, and I got on the bicycle. I'm riding down there. So as I'm riding down there, right before I get to the block that got the Checkers, police come by and he pulled me over. He like, yo, why you don't got no lights on the bike? I'm like, I ain't know you supposed to have lights on the bike. So he write me a ticket, but I ain't have my ID or nothing. So he like, yo, who are you? I'm telling him, yo, I live right down the block. He searched me, he find the brass knuckles. He's like, yo, this a weapon. Another squad car come up, they harassing me and stuff. I'm like, yo, man, I ain't trying to hear this. What's going on? So they say if the knife blade wasn't longer than my hand, then it wasn't considered a weapon. So it was a switchblade I got from the swap shop or something, lightning bolt junk too. So when I got that, I was excited about it. I'm like, okay, I want to use it. And during the course when the police going through that whole little situation, he telling me like, yo, we don't know who you are, so we're gonna have to take you down to the station. Mind you, I told you it was like around 8 something. So they took me down to the station because I didn't have my ID to prove who I was. So I got in the station, a little like substation in Margate. They put me in there. I made me take my shoes off. I sat in the substation like 3 hours, mind you. I'm about to tell you the Boston Market closed at 11. So now I leave. They give me my bike back, they give me the blade back, but then they give me a ticket for the brass knuckles because it was illegal, and they give me a ticket for the light on the bike saying, okay, you got to show up to court on a certain date. So I'm like, I leave. I ride the bike. I'm going to show you how demented I was. I ride the bike still over there by Boston Market. I put the bike by the garbage can. I hit the switchblade out. I'm in the bushes, literally hiding, waiting for D to come out. So it was a couple minutes after 11. So I waited like 10 minutes. I see a lot of people coming out, no D. So I put the switchblade back in my pocket. I get on the bike, I ride around the front, and it's like 2 people in there. Everybody else had already left. So I'm like, dang. Now this is the backstory. I go home after that and I fall asleep. I wake up next morning, I have a message on my phone from Ab. Ab be like, yeah, yo, D did give me the DVD back, but I didn't want to tell you because I had lost it. So imagine if D was there and I would have stabbed D thinking he trying to steal my DVD, and he did give it back to Ab, but Ab lost it and lied to me, but I believed him because that's my man's in him. So I would have stabbed up the dude for no reason. You know what I mean? This dude probably would have died and for innocently. But when your mind is in that detrimental state and you have that darkness, all you see is your way. You become king, you become your own God, and you move without reasoning. And the Bible says there's a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof is death. You know, and that's how I was seeing. So, you know, when I grew up, my father got killed when I was like 6. And that, you know, that put a lot of stress, a lot of anger, you know, a lot of vengeful. So during the course of that, man, I started fighting a lot. I get suspended a lot. That led me to start stealing. I started gambling. You know what I mean? I got to a point where I started playing with weapons. When I started playing weapons, I started robbing. You know, I needed it. My pockets was hurting.